Well, Norman, thank you for joining me. You've got a massive opportunity coming up on the next Hexagon show. But before we start with that, could you talk me through where you grew up and what that was like?
Where I grew up, I grew up in a wee small village. I'm sure everyone knows of it more so because where Conor McGregor makes his whiskey. Yeah, so a wee small village, not too many people live here. I'm not too sure what the capacity of people is, maybe like 3,000 people. So not too big of a place, but hey, you don't need 11 big cities to get the fight all over the world, do you? So, yeah, so I lived here all my life. Never been back and forth to Poland quite a lot too. Um, but I would never move away from here. This is where I'm born. This is where I'll die. So um, that's it. Well, all my life I played a lot of football. I was quite into sports person when I was younger. Anyway, growing up, I played a lot of football. There was never ever really the a boxing club or anything close by for it. There was one like quite close by, but I could never get the lift to go there all the time. So it was only really whenever I was about 16 or 17, around 16 years old, there was a judo club had opened in Bushmills, and I'd only found out about it through a friend. And I thought I'd go check it out to see what it's all about. Judo, I know judo is all about just throwing people to the ground and the control. Fundamental, it's a good sport. But I never really had, once I did judo, I never really wanted to try and be very good at judo. It wasn't in my mind. It was my coach then at that time, my judo coach had showed me. I'm sure you hear the same old story. I saw a few tapes from back in the day watching the UFC, and it was something like that there, UFC 1 and 2 it was, and I goes, what's this type of fighting? And it just caught my eye because it was quite interesting, different styles of sports, fighting to see which one was stronger. And you knew it was like either the classic wrestler against the striker, vice versa. But nowadays it's just everyone's solid everywhere. And so I did judo for about 4 or 5 years. Never wanted to compete at high level. My coach wanted me to compete at a high level, but it was never really something I wanted to do. I just liked it was a different sport, different hobby too, and but I think it built a good base for MMA too. And once I started transitioning to different sports, boxing, started doing a wee bit more BJJ, which judo's not so much so. BJJ and judo, very basic grappling it is on the floor in judo, and once you started to piece the puzzle together, then I felt more it was for me this type of thing because you get the pounds, you get the take to the ground, different forms of fighting just all together in the one arena. It's what what I liked most.
I can imagine because obviously you excelled in judo, winning a national title, you excelled in wrestling as well, and then you start putting this incredible record together in MMA, and then the call comes for the Ultimate Fighter. And what was that experience like?
That was crazy how it happened. Anyway, how the whole because I had actually signed the fight on the it's now the PFL. I had actually signed the fight in the World Series of Fighting. I'm sure you heard of that before. That was the name before it changed to the PFL, and I was signed to fight against. Funny enough, the last fight I had in the UFC against the Russian guy, that's who I was faced to fight, Rustam Kabalov, in this tournament. And then the tournament was cancelled. I don't know what happened. It was cancelled. We heard it was put back a bit longer. And so I was in Vegas training for about, 3 weeks or something, and was there on holiday too, right? And then through a manager I had at the time, he had says, there's tryouts for Ultimate Fighter, and back in the UK, it's for UK against Australia. So I come back and then back to the apartment in Vegas, and I tried to sign online, for the application, but I couldn't get it. And he says, just go to the open workouts, the tryouts, and you can fill the form out there. So I flew back the next day, flew back home, and then had to fly back to London from Belfast on that same day and go for the tryouts the next morning. And it was hectic. I was tired as hell, but I knew it would pay it off, And whenever I got there in London, I stayed with a friend in London the night before and went through all the trains under. Oh, London's crazy for trains. It's mad. It's crazy. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So finally, I got there to the open workouts, and we did. Place was loaded full of people. There was people everywhere, and the people were only filling their forms out there on the day and then handing them in. So they get you see you doing a little bit of striking, okay, right, go to the side, then a wee bit of grappling, yeah, and then they they break it all down, they pick which ones they want to go through to the next stages, and then we had to go through the interview stages, and then if they said your name, then you knew you were going to be going into the next stage. And it got down to I think about 16 of us, because really they wanted four welterweights and four lightweights, but there was eight of us each, eight lightweights and eight welterweights, and they're only going to pick four of us. So they did blood work, blood test, medical exams and stuff like that there, and then they just says, right, see you, go home, we'll ring you and let you know if you're picked. And I just heard through a friend, a manager in England, he was saying something about, because I had some like convictions record on my criminal record, and I heard that they weren't going to pick me for that, which was total lies, because Ross Pearson, who was coaching that season, says to me I was the first pick for it. He picked me first, and but during that whole time, whenever I thought I was never getting picked, so I went out partying anyway. I went out partying and just thought, fuck it, I'm never going to get picked for this here. So anyway, I just went and drunk and partied, and then it was all weekend. Phone was ringing. Monday morning, phone was ringing. I never answered it, never looked at it, and and then it rang again. I goes, right, I'll check it. So I looked and seen that Australia number. It says Australia on top, and I answered the phone, hello, and it's this girl. I forget her name, but she says, hello, this is such and such from the UFC, just to let you know you've been picked for the Ultimate Fighter, and in the next 3-4 days you're going to fly to Australia. So that's how that all happened. If the tournament had happened in the World Series of Fighting on that time I was there, I wouldn't have been going there to the UFC to fight an Ultimate Fighter.
Michael Bisping had a similar situation, whether he'd be able to fly to the States or not. And it's mental, the turning point that your life could have taken at that stage. But you end up going, you're around Dana White, you're in a house full of loads of fighters who all equally want to win the competition as much. So what was it like being in that house, being in that atmosphere and being around those fighters? Have you got any stories from that experience?
Loads of stories. Me and Colin Fletcher, we became pretty good friends. Me and Colin Fletcher, I'm sure you know him through the fight scene. I don't think he fights no more. I've never heard from him in a long time, but we became pretty good friends. And you understand that, obviously it's team thing, right? It's a team UK against Australia, but really you're there for yourself to win. You're in it to win it for yourself. That's what it came down to. So I knew once I met Colin in the final, it would step that bit to the side, and then we speak after, no problem. But in the house was good. It was a good experience. But at the same time too, you miss back home. No phone, no nothing, no TV, no nothing. Just the training twice a day, and we were in a nice place in Australia, a nice big swanky place in Australia. We were there for about 6 or 7 weeks. I think it was 7 weeks altogether actually, and the training was brilliant. I loved the training too, and plus you're out of your comfort zone, so it got to test what you're like when you're under pressure too. And I remember I was ending way semi final came up, and I had to fight Brendan Loughnane, right? And Brendan did a little sneaky move. Brendan says, right, we're all the UK boys are going to fight each other in the semi-finals, so let's just drink all tonight. We'll party tonight, and then we'll fight a few days later. So we did this. We started drinking, and Brendan, after one drink, sneaked off to his bed. He sneaked off to the bed after one drink, and it was his idea. And then we were up all night, me and Fletcher. We drank so much whiskey, and I was sick everywhere. Started fighting with Australians, started fighting with English boys, and it was mad. It was absolutely, at a time I thought they were going to have to ring an ambulance for me because I was sick so much everywhere. I drank red wine, whiskey, everything, and the cameraman the next day says, "Hey, there's that guy." It says, "Let's do the drinking session." Where did he go? I says, "Where did he go?" He says, "Look, after one drink, he went to bed." And I had to fight him 3 days later and cut all this weight out of my body. So that was a sneaky move, that one. It is what it is. It was a very tough fight. It was 3-round fight. My stamina wasn't very good, but I did enough to win the fight, which I was happy about the win to get to the final. But I could sit and talk here all day about the Ultimate Fighter, to be honest, but we can leave a lot of that for another time.
I mean, it's pretty impressive to go on a bender and then come out and beat who is now the PFL champion.
Oh, it was good. The once we got to Australia, flew back to obviously, when you come back home, they show the air the series on TV, right? And people get to see the series. It all builds up to the final. We went back, we got ready for the final. I knew where Colin was good at. I knew what his strengths and his weaknesses were. So I says the game plan was to stay on the outside and clench and take him to the ground and stay on top, control him on top and watch for submissions from the bottom. He likes to do certain submissions from the bottom. And I knew once after 2 rounds, whenever I had him 2 rounds up, I knew he had to finish me to win the fight. And then now that he was worried about the takedown, my striking would start to work then. But it was an unreal experience, crazy, because the times just completely flew. And I was just thinking about that the other day. The time, it's 10 years or so, and it's just went with a blink of an eye, to be honest. And when I do it again, looking back at it, when I know they're doing the UK, or no, they're doing Ultimate Fighter at the minute, Conor McGregor and Chandler. The veterans against prospects. I've seen this here. So, but would I do it again? Don't think so. Don't think so. But hey, it put me on a good platform and helped build my name and helped me get to fight all over the world. And you got to meet a lot of different people, train with different people, and that's it. That's what you signed up for. That's what you get.
Sounds like an amazing experience. Ultimately, you won that competition, so you got the UFC contract. You're fighting the best fighters in the world. You had a good run there, and also some frustration because I know quite a few people pulled out when they were meant to be fighting you, Jorge Masvidal included. So looking back on that, how do you think you'd have done against Masvidal?
Well, the reason why I got the fight with Masvidal because he was higher ranked than I ended up fighting his teammate T-Bow, but Masvidal was always complaining that two fighters he don't get to fight anyone higher ranked than him. They always give him like prospects to fight. And I understood that there, because we heard he wasn't injured at all. And I think like it was a good matchup for me. But then they says, hey, Masvidal's out. You're going to fight T-Bow. And I knew T-Bow was a tougher fight. And I goes, right, no problem, let's go. And it's one thing I never did was never accept a fight because they don't like that. I remember Ross Pearson said to me, never not accept a fight that they offer you because they'll put you in the bad books. So whoever they offered me, I'd always just says yes, let's go. And the times I've been to Brazil a few times fighting, I wanted to fight in Brazil. I actually asked. My first fight was the draw against Santos. I said I would love to fight in France or in Brazil. Could you give me a fight in Brazil? And then that's whenever that fight came about. So, but hey, that was a good experience to fight there too. And I don't know the city, the name of this place. It was Natal, I think. I've never heard of it before, but not Rio de Janeiro, which everyone wanted to fight there, the capital. But it was a good experience. I enjoyed the fights in Brazil too. But Masvidal at that time, I wouldn't know, to be honest, if I could have won the fight. There's definitely a chance I could have won the fight. Um, but he was a good step for me to see where I was because I think he was a easier matchup than T-Bow. T-Bow was tougher matchup, I believe.
So from the UFC, you end up fighting all across Poland. I imagine this must have been an incredible experience for you because that's what you've been doing over the last few years. And these Polish shows, these Polish crowds as well, are pretty mental.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the Polish know how they fight. They know how to party. They know how to do everything. And that was the first fight I had there was that big stadium show they did in the football stadium against Gamrot, who's number, who Gamrot is. And we had a good fight, we had a very good fight, some controversy in it too. So we go for the rematch in Dublin, same again, very good fight, nice pace. I had some damage to my face, but the pace of the fight was very good. I liked it. And it ended no contest. And then he was fall out with KSW for a wee bit. I did some fights, more fights in between for KSW. I built up, a couple more wins, and then we did the rematch or the third fight. Sorry, and this third fight, I would have been better off just missing the flight and staying at home, to be honest, because I messed about with my weight. I missed weight 2 times against him, and I knew once I was after the UFC, I knew like my weight was getting a bit bigger, and I was naturally just getting a bit heavier, and I felt like I wanted to move up. I says to them I wanted to move up after the first fight. Could you let me move to welterweight? And he says no, no fight unless you stay at 155. And so I was kind of forced to stay there, and I knew I was going to be struggle to make the weight, and so I said, right, I tried the third time. I missed weight by £4. That's a lot of weight, £4, and then the fight was almost pulled, but then I got into the fight, and I think I would have been better off just staying at home, to be honest. I was a punching bag for 3 rounds, and the referee says your face is very bad, and my face was very bad. So, but hey, it was good scrap. I wish I had been, a wee bit better weight wise prepared for that there, and then we could have seen a more evenly fight.
Most certainly. But you've got another massive opportunity now. You're fighting in Hexagone MMA in France. A massive opportunity. And how do you see the fight going? You've got a tough Brazilian opponent. It's not going to be easy, is it?
Well, I was actually due to fight a Polish guy first, and it was fun. I thought maybe they had made that match up because I fought Polish people for the last 5 years. I was thinking, it's just a good wee market move, but no. Then the Polish guy, I know him. He pulled out of the fight, and uh, I says no problem. And he says, "Here's this Brazilian guy." So I looked him up. Lost a few fights in a row, but um, he's still a dangerous fighter. Obviously, still dangerous fighter. You can never, even some boys losing 2 fights, 3 fights. You can never look at it as an easy fight. No fight's easy, and I'm not the type of fighter who goes in, fights, and just finishes a fight with one punch or this. I'm a grinder, So it's I'm very strong at too. He's a BJJ black belt. He likes to throw punches, but it's just going to see who's going to have the more fight in them. I think, and who wants it more. Who wants it more? Who's going to fight more? And I feel now, frame of mind, I want to just fight hard, and fight hard and aggressive, because in my UFC career, I did the freeze a lot and hold back. I never always scared to lose. I felt like you're always scared to lose, and if you lose, so much pressure. Now it's just let's go, let's fight, put on a good show, and I know I'm confident in all areas: striking and grappling, clinch work, my conditioning for the fight's good, and if all them things are on point, then that's it. You'll win the fight. I feel I'll win the fight by just being stubborn too. You got to have some stubbornness, never to give up. Just keep pushing forward. You have to keep pushing forward in the fight, I feel, and I don't like being on the ground, on the bottom of the ground. I like always being control of the fight. If I get taken down to the bottom, I want to stand straight back up again. If I'm going for a takedown, stay on top, control, use elbows. I like to use elbows a lot, and I don't underestimate him, but I know I'm probably the favourite to win this fight. But I don't really look at it like that there. I'm going in here just focused. Hey, this is a new promotion, a new place for me to fight. Different, neutral. It's a neutral fight, because it's not like I'm fighting a French boy or a homeboy. We're both from different parts of the country fighting in France. So we go in, shake hands or not, and we punch each other's face in, and then see who comes out the winner.
Well, you've sold it to me. It sounds like it's going to be a great fight. And it's a stacked bill. And in the main event, we have Imar Gui versus Walter Gahadze. And Gahadze, a man who's been around the circuit for such a long time, is this his opportunity to become a world champion?
Well, I know Walter. I've saw him fight in Bama before in Bellator. I think maybe he fought against some guys that I fought before too. So yeah, he's been around a long time. Fought tough opponents also, and so I just seen that on the fight card that he's on the main card or the main fight. I don't know his opponent. I don't know much about his opponent, but I'm sure I'll probably see them once I'm over there. Or if I win my fight and he wins his fight, they'll probably try to make this match up or something. I think because I'm welterweight fighter now. I'm fighting moved up to welterweight, and Walter's a welterweight fighter. And but this fight that I have next is just the catchweight fight. Uh, if it's more serious, then I would have to fight 77 kilograms. But Yeah, I'll probably see some familiar faces whenever I get to France. I've seen some of the guys that are on the card. I know a few of them through friends of friends, that type of way. And we'll see when we get there. But I'm just going there to, I'm straight and punch his face in and go home again. That's the plan.
So you're going to fly home. I'm assuming that hopefully Walter wins this one for the English crowd and the UK crowd, and then potentially we can get the match on between the pair of you, potentially back in Ireland.
Maybe, I don't know. I've never really looked that far ahead, to be honest. I've just been thinking about this first fight here. Get the first fight out of the way, and then think about the next one after that. In this sport, you can't look too far ahead, to be honest. No, definitely not. Not in this sport, you can't look too far ahead. But I just focus on the Brazilian fighter first. I want to smash him, to be honest. In my mind, I just want to smash him. That's it. Just smash him and shake his hand after and say good luck. That's it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's genuinely really appreciated. I want to wish you all the best of luck to your fight. But before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to add that I perhaps haven't asked about?
No, I'm fine. Everything's good here. Just uh, everyone who pushes me in training when I go to the gym, people who help me train, people I spar with, they're the people who help you get ready for fights too. My coach, who's always there, my coach Rodney, always in my corner every fight I've been to all over the world, and that's it. My sponsors, my good sponsors I have from Poland, they still support me even though I'm not fighting in Poland, but they still sponsor me, and they helped me a lot when I was in Poland. So them people, that's the people that matter. So hopefully, when I fight in France, they can make some new fans in France. I hope I can.